Okay, headline here says Leonardo DiCaprio is testifying to a federal grand jury related to the Malaysian fund probe. So this has to do with 1MDB. It's the story that I've done several videos on. I won't do a full recap, but Leo DiCaprio is pretty key in this whole investigation. Although we can look back, we're going to see what they're saying most recently. It seems like he's not facing criminal charges or anything like that. At least they're not saying that right now. But he was gifted all of these items from Yolo, one of his friends that he had to return. Yolo is on the run, one of Leo DiCaprio's close friends, and he had to testify against Yolo. We don't know all of the details of all the information that he gave up. This was a secret testimony that he gave, but it seems like they are trying to get DiCaprio to flip on Yolo. Yolo has a lot of connections to people in the U.S. There are connections to the Obama White House, connections back to Hollywood. Yolo dated model Miranda Kerr. Here he is with Paris Hilton in this picture. Quite a few pictures of them partying together. So he threw these big, extravagant parties. He bought a $250 million yacht, which he threw parties on. And this came from $4.5 billion that were stolen from Malaysian taxpayers. The Rothschild Bank also involved in the same scandal. There are individuals from Goldman Bank that have recently been charged, and connections back to the Obama White House as well. Not clear again if anybody from the actual Obama administration is facing charges, but there are some significant names. People from Goldman Sachs, former Prime Minister of Malaysia, Najib Razak. His charges, he's facing over 20 years, potentially. Still waiting to see what happens in court exactly, but it seems like there's some kind of battle going on between the current administration in Malaysia and the former admin, Razak. There's a lot of evidence of his guilt in being a key figure in this whole 1MDB scheme. He lost an election recently, and one more very recent update, and then we can go and look at what they are saying about Leo DiCaprio's testimony. But I do just quickly want to note that former Prime Minister of Malaysia is facing decades, potentially in prison, over his involvement. So he has actually officially been charged over this. He lost an election recently. It was declared that the king will decide the next leader. Now, there was a vote, but it's just interesting that the new administration is going after Razak, and the previous administration just so happens in the last day that the king of Malaysia is also resigning unexpectedly. They're saying after just 2 years on the throne. From my understanding, they have terms of the king of Malaysia actually has a term limit. So he was supposed to have a 5-year term. It wasn't a lifelong appointment, but he's stepping down after just 2 years. So this is very unexpected. And 1MDB, this is where all of this money is coming from. Leo DiCaprio got a bunch of gifts from this as well. And he did also have to back out of a Hillary Clinton fundraiser over his involvement in this scandal as well. This is what they're saying about the testimony that he gave. Leonardo DiCaprio has reportedly secretly testified before a Washington, D.C. grand jury as part of a federal investigation into a Malaysian government investment fund. The case, which involves some of the highest members of the Malaysian government and some major U.S. investors, centers on financier Lo Tek Zhou, also known as Zhou Lo. Lo allegedly stole and laundered billions of dollars from the investment fund, then financed a lobbying campaign to end the federal investigation, to end his own investigation. The investigation into him. Washington Post reported that DiCaprio is not a target of the probe. Reports indicate that DiCaprio is considered a witness who can provide insights into Lo, which may help the ongoing investigation into his activities. Court papers have alleged that the relationship between Lowe and DiCaprio involved allowing the actor to gamble on his tab at the Venetian Casino in Las Vegas, giving him artwork and helping him to get funding for the hit movie The Wolf of Wall Street. People brought that up previously, that this Wolf of Wall Street movie, DiCaprio starred in that, obviously. Big part of the funding for that movie was stolen from Malaysian taxpayers through 1MDB. In 2016, prosecutors tried to seize proceeds from this film, which allegedly was financed with the stolen funds routed to a production company co-founded by the former Malaysian Prime Minister's stepson, production company that did this movie for DiCaprio, that DiCaprio starred in. DiCaprio thanked Lowe by name in accepting a Golden Globe for his role in the film. So they are close. They are pretty closely connected. They do have a fairly close relationship, Yolo and Leo DiCaprio. Several pictures of them from different events, and there's accounts of different parties that they've attended together. Here's another one. I think this is Tobey Maguire, another actor here as well. There's quite a few different accounts of their relationship. DiCaprio thanked Lowe when he got a Golden Globe for his role in this film that they used the stolen money for. There were other gifts as well. Prosecutors later seized a Picasso painting. Prosecutors seized a Picasso painting from DiCaprio they said was purchased with $3.2 million in stolen funds and given to DiCaprio by an associate of Lowe's. Lowe was charged in New York federal court last year with theft and money laundering. Prosecutors have also looked at related cases involving former Goldman Sachs bankers who may have been involved. Now, again, there's a lot. It's very wide. This is a very widespread scandal, and it's not being talked about nearly as much in the mainstream media, especially with the names that are involved and just how big the scandal is overall. You would think the mainstream media would be covering it more. I guess there's obvious reasons that they're not. They're probably trying to cover up for some of the people involved. But it's kind of tough to know what to expect here, because on one hand, there's a lot of individuals at the media, and at least from what we formally know, what we're hearing about the investigation, they're saying that DiCaprio they're claiming not facing criminal charges, although it's very likely he should be. He's claiming ignorance over these gifts that he was given. But he knows Yolo well enough that there's other evidence to point to the fact that Leo DiCaprio knew what was going on here. And then again, they're saying there's charges against people from Goldman Sachs, and we've seen that there are legit charges against Goldman Sachs bankers. But what about the Rothschild Bank? Why is one being protected? And it's just odd that you would think that there would be a complete cover-up, everyone would be protected, or hopefully everyone would be exposed. It would be one or the other. And meanwhile, it seems like the Rothschild bank's being protected. The Goldman Sachs bankers, they're throwing a few of them, I guess, under the bus, or they're gonna give up a few of these Goldman bankers. But also, I mean, some bigger names, Razak, former Malaysian Prime Minister. These are pretty significant individuals. So it's just interesting. It seems like they're picking out certain people to take the fall already, but it'll be really weird to see how this plays out exactly. There's a lot of other names, people from the music industry, people from Hollywood connected to Yolo as well. The Post has talked about Praz, this rapper who's involved in setting up accounts to make payments for Lowe's lobbying efforts on the investigations. Michael also reportedly hired the owner of an investment firm to intercede with the Trump administration. Michael has denied the allegations. The Post said DiCaprio declined comment on his activity through a spokesman. He has acknowledged in the past that he was cooperating. There's other gifts that were given to Yolo. They bring up the Picasso here. He was also given an Oscar that he had to return. I think they might name that in this previous while. They don't actually name the specific items here, but he did have to back out of this other campaign event for Hillary Clinton. Leo DiCaprio had to back out of that in 2016 when this was still emerging. Also going on right now, just before I close off, Leonardo DiCaprio's ex-girlfriend from Israel is also facing possible indictment for tax evasion. So that's a separate case. It's not connected to 1MDB, other than this is Leo DiCaprio's ex-girlfriend, and one of his closest friends here in Yolo is also facing these charges. They're trying to get DiCaprio to flip on Yolo. I guess heard about a couple other things going on with Leo DiCaprio's charity. There's been a few scandals related to that, but it's interesting. DiCaprio, it seems he's trying to distance himself just enough to avoid facing actual charges related to any of these various scandals that he's connected to. You'd think that he probably knows more about these than he is letting on. What's going to happen? I'm going to continue to follow this case. Let me know what you think about the info that we do have so far. I do have a link to the original article in the video description and a link to my Patreon account, patreon.com/realityreader. Thanks everybody that supported the channel through there. A couple dollars makes a huge difference, helps me keep talking about these issues. Patreon.com/realityreader. I also have a PayPal link and a link to the full article you can look at. Leave a comment, tell me what you think, and I will follow up soon. Thank you.